Retiring early. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, let's talk about it.
I want to retire at 40, so let's calculate my Coast-Fire. Coast-Fire basically means you have enough invested right now. Your money would grow on its own. You still work, but you don't have to burn yourself out or save aggressively anymore because your investing is doing it for you. Being able to have a $150K salary even when I'm retired, that means 150 times 25 equals $3.75 million. So if I wanted to Coast-Fire right now, I would have to have $1.1 million. If I had $1.1 million, I could stop working a super intense job, just a job to cover my daily necessities, and hit $3.75 million by the age of 40. Obviously, I don't have that right now. I only have $88,000. Coast-Fire is kind of like the middle ground where you don't need millions of dollars today. You just need a small amount already invested, because compound interest does the work for you. Basically, free money. It's the most realistic early retirement plan. That's my Coast-Fire in order to retire early. I want to live my life now, not when I'm 65 years old.
All right, so that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about, individuals that are wanting to or already have retired early, who have invested for their financial future. We're going to talk about how they did that. We're going to talk about different strategies and also around the FIRE movement. And then also I'm going to give my thoughts, my opinions on retiring early and what I think I would recommend. Or maybe what works for me, I guess. I don't know. Let's enjoy it. But the number one thing here that I got to mention before we get into it is the overall health of our finances, right? The more healthy our finances are, the better off our financial future is going to be. Now, the same thing applies to your overall health. And that's why I've, started taking my health very seriously lately. And I even haven't really announced this to anybody yet, so my viewers, you guys are the first ones to hear this, but February of 24, I ran a marathon, and I'm officially going to start training to run another one for the end of 2026. God help me. Now, with that, one thing I've really been focused on lately is consistency, especially when it comes to eating better since I just started training again for my next marathon. And honestly, that's where Factor has been a game changer for me. Factor delivers fresh, never frozen, chef-crafted meals that are ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no cleanup, no excuses. When life gets busy, it takes the guesswork out of eating real, nourishing meals. What I love most is that these meals actually taste great and support my goals. Most of the meals have 30 grams of protein or more, which helps with recovery and staying full. I've been loving the high protein options, especially the filet mignon with chimichurri sauce. It's one of my favorites. Everything is made without refined seed oils, refined sugars, or whether you're starting your wellness journey or getting back into a routine or training for a marathon like myself, it's never too early or too late to build better habits. Now, also, one of my new favorite drinks that I've been drinking is the Factor Matcha Latte Protein Shake. Now, I just recently tried this flavor, and I have been hooked, and I've been seeing it everywhere. Matcha here, matcha there. This has absolutely been one of my favorite protein drinks to go to lately. So if you guys want to give Factor a try, head over to factor75.com or click the link down below in the description and use code JJBucknerFB50 for 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for a year. That's code JJBucknerFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for a year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase.
How did I do it? How did I retire at 48 years old? I'm going to make this as brief as I can because I have a very long video that is not brief. You can go watch that. I got started when I was 42 years old. Before that, I had no savings. I retired at 48. In that time, for 5 years, I had a 6-figure income. Only 5 years. I also had RSUs as a part of my compensation plan. So stocks in my company as a part of my compensation plan at work. That was key. Now, don't be mistaken. Just because I had RSUs doesn't mean that's the only way I got there. Not true. I had to use my own income. I had to become an expert in my financial life and figure it out. And that's what I did. Right before I decided to focus on financial independence, I bought the home that I'm standing in now. What I did first was I paid off the $5,000 in credit card debt that I had after I left my marriage. Then I paid off the $15,000 used car that I had purchased. Then I paid off the $75,000 in student loan debt. I have a master's degree. Then I didn't have any more debt, so I decided to do what? Pay off my house. I paid off this house in 3 years. Sometime during the course of this debt payoff, I started my 401k and started investing there. And once my house was paid off and I was debt-free, I started investing 50% of my gross income. 50%. That 50% though, I maxed out my 401k to the IRS max contribution limits. My company allowed that. So in some of those years, I can't really remember, but I remember it starting at around $58,000. I put $58,000 or whatever the max was into my 401k. After that, I maxed out my IRA, whatever it was back then, probably $5,500 or something. Then, because I was running out of places to store my money, I started using the HSA healthcare plan at work. The HSA allowed me to save an additional $5,000 or so because my employer contributed some, and there's a max amount that you can contribute to an HSA. So that was maxed out. So then when my 401k, my IRA, and my HSA were maxed out, and I still had money left to save, I opened a brokerage account. The brokerage account was instrumental to my early retirement because you need to be 59 and a half to access your IRA and your 401k without penalty. So the brokerage account you can access at any time. So I knew that I needed to save a big amount there in order to bridge me from early retirement to 59 and a half. So the short answer and how I did it was I paid off my debts, all of them, including my house. I started saving money. And then I retired 5 to 6 years later. Not everyone has a 6-figure income. Not everyone has RSUs as a part of their compensation plan at a fintech organization. I recognize that. This is my story, and this is how I did it. Do I think that you can do it on a much less income? Absolutely. You might have to start earlier. You may have to be more intentional. But do I think you can do it? Absolutely. You can do it. If early retirement, or even retirement for that matter, is your goal, the key is to get started. Just get started. Nothing will ever happen if nothing ever happens. You have to set your goal and you have to be intentional. And if you put those things together, you too can make it happen.
Yo, that girl just dropped bombs, guys. I mean, this is why I love showing these clips, is because 1, it's motivation. 2, it also shows you that it can be done. She even made a great point. Yes, she was probably making great money, and that's why she was able to do it so fast. But the key word there is that she was intentional about her money, right? She knew what she was doing. She had a game plan, and she was executing that game plan to get to her goal, which was early retirement. Anyone can do it. Your timeline may be longer because you don't make as much, or you have more debt to pay off because you put yourself in maybe a little bit of a worse financial situation. The key thing here to remember though is, guys, is that it's possible. It just takes work from your part. And those steps that she outlined are brilliant. Brilliant. You maybe, if you want to ramp up the brokerage account a little more, maybe not put as much in the 401k. If you don't have as high a salary, that may be something to look into. But overall, genius game plan. And that's how you can execute it very quickly.
I just hit Coast Fire at 60, so here's an update on my next Coast Fire milestone. Hitting Coast Fire at 60 means if I stopped investing right now, I would still hit my retirement goal and be able to retire at 60. I use the Coast Fire calculator from Wallet Burst to calculate all of my numbers, so let's walk through my next milestone. My current age is 29. Next milestone will be retiring at 55. My annual spending is $100,000. This is kind of just random. I essentially just doubled my current spending because I know I'll probably want to spend a little bit more. My current invested assets, $313,000. And for reference, at the beginning of last year, I only had $134,000. So a lot can change in a year. My monthly contribution, I'm expecting to invest around $50,000 from social media income. I'm maxing out all of my retirement accounts, and I'm also taking the money I have saved for my down payment and investing it into the market. So that puts my average around $10,000 per month invested. For growth, I use 10% and inflation is 3%. So this means it's going to use a 7% annual growth. So all of this is adjusted for inflation, meaning the $100,000 in annual spending in retirement will feel the same as $100,000 today. So I don't want to get any inflation comments. And then my safe withdrawal rate is 4%. I'm not planning to completely stop investing once I hit Coastfire, so I'm not really worried about lowering this 4% number. So that brings my Coastfire number at my current age to $430,000. This means I would be at Coastfire if I had that much invested today. But since I don't, obviously, it looks like I am 2 years away from hitting my next Coastfire milestone. I think this is rounding a little bit. I think I'm closer to like 1 year. We'll see if I can invest a little bit extra. My final Coastfire number is retiring at 50, but I'm gonna wait to calculate that until I hit my 55 milestone, just because a lot can change in between this milestone and the next. The thing I love about Coastfire is I can get all of my investing out of the way early and let compound interest take over. And then I can do literally whatever I want and nothing matters because my retirement is already done. Like if I want to save up and buy a house in cash, who cares? I don't have to worry about interest rate arbitrage, opportunity costs, getting the best deal. I can just kind of do whatever I want. I just vibe. The only thing that matters is that I'm covering my everyday living expenses. While I'm younger, I think it's super important to optimize my money, but I know that's not how I want to live. So again, just getting it out of the way early so then I can kind of putter around, do whatever I want. It's a very freeing feeling. Let me know what fire strategy you guys are doing. And if you're doing Coastfire, let me know how many years away you are.
So I love the Coastfire strategy. I actually have never used that calculator she used, and I'm very curious on what my number would look like. So I'm gonna have to do that after this video and take a look. And I recommend you guys looking at that too. See where you stand. Take a look and see how long it may take you to hit your actual Coastfire number to see if that's even something that you can achieve and what you need to do in order to achieve that maybe a little faster than you thought you could. Now, here are the things to think about, right? The things to think about is why are we even doing this, right? My main reason is I'm looking to hit retirement early and make it optional. Now, do I want to do that? Well, let's talk about that after this next clip.
This concept called financial independence retire early, or the FIRE movement, they can retire really early because their living expenses are low and they've got an investment portfolio that's going to produce more money than they're going to spend.
What's the actual investing strategy behind this? Can you tell us a little bit more about why that number and how that's actually going to work?
Average people investing most of their income and then retiring at like an earlier age than normal. Some people in their 30s, some people in their 40s, some people in their 50s. And I thought, oh my God, these are normal people doing this. Why can't I?
Yeah, that's a very great question, and it's very doable. People are doing it all over. Now, the one thing I want to mention is that we have to be, how do I say this? You have to understand what you're getting into, right? Because I have talked to people on the absolute extreme frugal living. I mean, talking about living with your parents for 10, 15 years and your whole family still, like you're literally moving your kids and your wife in with your family, like your parents. It's just, we're not doing that, right? So there's that extreme, and then there's like, all right, I'm going to kind of enjoy my life, live frugally, but also invest for my future. And then there's that group that's like, YOLO baby, I'm spending everything and not taking anything to the grave with me. I get it. So the point I'm making here, though, is that I think it's very important, and sometimes this gets missed in the FIRE community, is that you still have to enjoy life now, right? And I also think people are staying at their jobs longer that they may absolutely hate because they make good money, and they're using that to invest for their future, to get to retire early faster, to get away from a job that they absolutely hate. To me, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it would be your time better well spent to find a job, to find an industry that you may enjoy to go to. Now, let's be honest, every job's going to have its crappy moments, but the object that I'm trying to point across, or the main point here, is that the importance of figuring out something that you want to do that you enjoy in life. Now, the better part of that is that if you do have your finances set up, you do have all your debt paid off, you do have your mortgage paid for, that gives you that much more freedom and flexibility to choose what you want to do. You don't have to have a six-figure job. You don't. You can just make enough to pay your bills, have a little extra to invest, and invest until you retire at 65. because you love what you do. Or maybe you want to take a start a business or do whatever it is. You got to find what works for you, but also that isn't still enjoyable. Because I see these people who are doing this and they're miserable at their job, but they're doing it because it gives them a high savings rate that they can turn around and put that money into investments to retire early. That's why I wanted to include this clip, this last one. Just listen to see what this guy says. And I want your opinion on this too.
Boy, I know why you're doing it, but planning to retire early is a horrible idea. It's really, really not the right strategy. I get it. The math does check out. No, the 401k will be stacked. I want you to truly appreciate how precious the stage of life is that you have right now from a stranger on the internet. Like, really fucking internalize not having kids, not having debt, having complete and utter freedom, being able to work and live in any location on planet Earth. And you're choosing your parents' basement to save $1,500 a month. Only time in your life where you can just randomly send a boys trip and travel the entire world and have a whole bunch of fun and ball out and buy a club sign if you want and spend money on some stupid stuff. The only time you have to build those memories. And we're driving DoorDash on Friday nights to save a little extra money. Like, let's not lose the forest for the trees, because once you actually retire, what are you going to be spending your time doing? All of this hinges on the assumption that the world is going to be functioning in a rational, normal way, which we really can't guarantee. That the United States economy is going to keep on growing. You aren't going to get cancer. A really stable paycheck you have today is going to stay stable. The fire concept actually goes against our biology, and we're all so disconnected from our roots and our spirit and our soul that I understand that this sounds like a very foreign concept, but understand that the way we evolved, brother, there was no savings account. You had to go out and kill every day. You had to go find water. You had to go find fish. The whole point of life was just to keep playing. Like, we didn't evolve to just wake up and have nothing to kill as a man, nothing to do, no aim to go accomplish. And a lot of these guys that retire early like this or come into a massive bag via usually a shitcoin and crypto, their girls hate it because it's very uncomfortable. And they hate it too. Like, it's just a weird energy that you exude when you don't have anything that you're hungry and trying to build. A lot of times where I think it really is with the retire early crowd is the illusion of security. It's kind of like a sneaky pulling one over on everyone else. They don't know that one day I'm going to be able to retire. Like, so you kind of take all the slights and let life just shit on you for decades, because it's like, well, at least I'm saving. Yeah, but one day I'll be happy. It's really hard to revert a psychological pattern like that of delaying gratification. I run a life coaching business for doctors, and these doctors get so used to, because they have to go through over a decade of school just to become a doctor. Oh, I'll be happy when I get into medical school. I'll be happy when I become a resident. I'll be happy when I'm in my fellowship. I'll be happy when I'm finally a doctor. They're a doctor. I'll be happy when I get promoted. It's not easy to unwind an endless delaying gratification. If you just fucked around and had fun and left your hometown and got around some more abundant people and some more successful people, you might make a lot more money too. Big focus is skills. Like, I pad the bank account, I invest, I spend a ton of money. As long as I'm in a place where I can sell, I can market, I can build, I can inspire people, that's a lot more security than a corporate job. But I'm just some motherfucker sweating his ass off about to get out of the hot tub. Don't forget to enjoy today, bro. Follow for more sauce.
Okay, so there's, another end of the spectrum of the viewership of retiring early, fire movement, whatever. And I kind of am somewhere in the middle, right? Like, I believe, yes, you need to have fun now, you need to spend your money now, but you also need to set yourself up for the future. I do believe that. And he did mention that. He did say he's going to be investing, so I agree with what he's saying. But I'm kind of like right in that middle part right there. That's just me. That doesn't mean that's what works for you. It doesn't mean what works for the next person. That's just my opinion of where I'm at. And I like to bring both sides of the arguments there, because it lets you, the viewer who doesn't know, make your own decision on where you want to be at. Do you want to align with that guy who's like, screw the fire movement, I'm, YOLOing, but also making more money and focusing on income, but also spending that? Or are you on the side of like, I'm going to save and invest as much as I can so I can retire early and choose to do whatever I want? Now, one thing I will say, guys, is I did take about a year off of work. And that was actually when I started training for my first marathon. And that was because I simply had nothing to work towards. Exactly what that guy said. I had nothing to go out and kill. I had nothing to go out and build. So I was like, well, what the hell else do I do? I'm going to go run a marathon and, train for that for, 6 or 8 months or however long it was back then. And that was my focus. That's all I did was I trained. And it was cool to be able to focus. I got very healthy. I got really slimmed up, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting at least back to half that. But I will say I had nothing else to like build. And I feel like as men and some women too, that I need that in my life. I need to have something to grow. I need to have something to build. I need to have something to be constantly improving on that's not just training for a marathon. Like I need something that makes me excited to get up and go work. Get up and go accomplish something for the day. And that's the biggest problem I see with retiring early. My whole mindset shifted whenever I took that year off of life and kind of just, figured out what I wanted to do next. And it was probably, I was living in Florida at the time, and people on the outside looking in, it probably would have been like, yeah, you're living the high life. But it was miserable because I had nothing to focus on. I had nothing to wake up and be excited for. I had nothing to build. So my mindset shifted big time that year. And I was like, from here on out, I'm going to find something that I want to do. I'm going to find something that I want to build. And right now, it's YouTube because I still love creating content. I love interacting with you guys. And it's my mortgage business. I really am excited to see where I can go with that. So let me know your thoughts. I know this was a little different one, but these are some of my favorite videos to make. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.